Alright guys, hello. This is gonna piss me off. Hi everybody. This week we're gonna do something different. We're gonna do a story time, and these are just gonna be my spooky stories. And that's it. I thought it would be fun. I thought it would be a good Halloween type vlog. I've talked about in some of my vlogs. Okay. Full break. First off, welcome back. If you're a viewer who regularly watches, I'm sorry, you'll have another vlog next week. I'm doing day in the life of like how it is traveling, so hopefully you'll like that. I'm pretty much done with it, but I really wanted to get something Halloween related out because this is my favorite time of the year, and you'll still have like spooky vlog content in the future, like on the timeline of it, but I realized that will probably come out like late November / December time frame, just because the way I film and edit things. And I really wanted something spooky now. I just felt like doing this, so I apologize if you don't want to listen to spooky stories. I'm sorry. Come back next week for a normal vlog. And if you're brand new watching, my name is Rachel. Did I say my name yet? Sorry. Hi. I live in my van. We travel around America. Me and my dog, Binks. So if you hear whining in the background, it's her. But that's also why I'm in front of this like floppy, curtain. It's because this is the like separator curtain that I put behind my chairs when I like sit at my little table area. Okay, so jumping right in, I have written like a loose list. These are just this is like a very not comprehensive list at all, by the way. This is like just locations. And then I'm just gonna go off memory. I just wrote down the most haunted locations I've ever like lived at, and I think that's where we're gonna start. What I'm gonna do for this is I'm gonna tell you all the things I remember first, and then I'm gonna call my sisters, and maybe my mom. I think some of this, like, basically just to like get other additional people to speak on certain things. But I wanted to say how I remember it first, so that I'm not biased. All right, so to start this off, we're gonna go to my first house, which was a little cottage in Rough and Ready, California. Which is like a crazy town name. I had an imaginary friend whose name was Charlie, and I was just really little, and I don't think I knew anyone in my life. I don't know. To me, like, the name Charlie is just like a weird name for like a 3 or 4 year old to have as an imaginary friend, And also it was just like a little boy. When I was older and I would have imaginary friends, I would like completely like imagine like I had like a fake unicorn, and no, a Pegasus, and its name was Zephyr, and I would pretend to like run around the forest with it, or I would be looking for dragon eggs, or I'd pretend it was an elf and my fairy friends would help me. Like, I had imaginary friends of like fantasy things. So to me, this is like not in line with the rest of my life, right? It's not in line with how my brain works. And when I think of like imaginary stuff, I'm more on the like mythical, magical, fantasy side. My whole life I have been. So to me, this one was kind of weird, but it was like this little cottage house, and outside there was a sandbox, and I would play in the sandbox with Charlie. And the only reason this became kind of creepy is because like I would sit out there, like I remember just like talking, like I remember it was a little boy, right? So in my head, it was just this little boy who lived by me. Like, I had a neighbor who was a little boy basically, and he would just come over and play with me. So in my head, it was like this actual kid, but he like didn't exist. Okay, so with this one, it's kind of hard because it's a lot of things combined. The reason I even add this to the story is because I totally forgot about Charlie in general. So I didn't think about this until I was like in my early 20s, and I was watching a scary movie. It was like Robert De Niro, I think. I don't know. He has a kid who has an imaginary friend whose name is Charlie, and for that like triggered a memory in me, and I was like, oh my god, like that was my friend Charlie. And then I like asked my mom, and she was like, yeah, that was, but like he's like not real. He was an imaginary friend. I talked to this person all the time and played with them outside. We were like in my dollhouse, or we'd run around the backyard. I would come in and ask for like snacks for us and stuff. Like, I remember having a like sort of relationship with this like in my head child who like didn't exist. So anyways, we move out of this house by the time I'm like 5 or 6. We lived on a street called Branding Iron, so I'm gonna call this a Branding Iron house because I always thought that was like a crazy name. The Branding Iron house was from that's like my formative years, so it would have been from like 5 all the way up to like 14-ish, I think. So this is where the most stuff happened, for all my childhood stuff. And the backstory of this house, to my knowledge, again, we'll talk to my mother, but the way I've told this story, hopefully correctly, by the way, is that my mom was a real estate agent at the time, and she got this house because in California you have to disclose if the prior owner died in the home. And so she got it for kind of like a lower selling price because there was a death in the home. When she went to show the house, she fell in love with it and then ended up buying it. When we moved in, my mom didn't like tell me as like a small child, like, hey, we're moving into this house and a dude died here, so, you know, like, we're getting it cheaper or whatever, you know, like, I didn't have that information at the time. I was just a kid, and I didn't like, I'm just saying that to say I didn't know the details of anything. For me, it started really, I don't even know, there's so much with this house. I can't remember exactly when it started. I just know that I was so scared in this house for a lot of my childhood, and I would spend most of my time outside. We had 5 acres, so I would just be running around the woods and doing whatever all day long. I think some of my earliest memories of it would be like little things, like my mom would come tell me bedtime stories and be like, when you go to sleep, like, all your dolls and stuff play, and that's like, so you have to go to bed because this is the only time that they have like to themselves, essentially, before they have to go back to their job of like sitting on the shelves. That turned into something that I actively saw. So it happened so much, like, I can't write it off as like nightmares or anything because it happened all the time. And so first it would start with like, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would see like moving or something, and I would just look over and I would just like see, I think the first few times I did it, I also was really young, so I just thought that was what they did because my mom told me, but, and I was like, oh, she's still like, you know, like, they're really doing it, you know, they're dancing or they're having, you know, whatever. And so that happened for a long time, and I didn't really say anything about it because I genuinely was like so young, and my mom told me these stories, so I thought that's just what happened. Like, a big part of all of this is that like I just thought these things happened, and so sometimes I wasn't scared or anything because like I didn't understand that not everyone saw these things, is the best way I can say it, right? Like, I've said this before, of like the easiest way I can explain to people when they're like, oh my god, you believe in ghosts or you believe in whatever, it's like I was never given the option not to. I didn't ever know a life that like didn't have them, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would just see these things of like, you know, my dolls would be dancing or whatever would happen, and then I woke up to, like, I would hear like whispering or talking or like see them running around or whatever. It sounds creepier than it is. Like I say, I would just like go to bed. I didn't really care. I was just like, oh, you know, it's their time. And I would go to bed. Once I told my mom, they start like I had porcelain dolls too. And you know, when you used to get porcelain dolls that were on the like rotating, they have like the little silver spinner at the bottom and you spin it around and then the dolls are like, doo, doo, doo. It's like the music box, but for a doll, right? So I had those type, and I had them I had like 4 or 5 of them. And I had like a rabbit, porcelain, and I had like a couple porcelain dolls and something else. But like after I told my mom, those dolls would start going off like audibly for everyone to hear. Like, you know, I guess once she knew what I was seeing, then they like felt comfortable. I don't know. Anyways, after that, all my dolls started to like actively like play music. So at night or during the, like whenever we wouldn't be in the room or whatever, you would just start hearing the music coming from my room, and we go in there and all like the dolls would be spinning. Sometimes it would be just one, sometimes it would be like 2 or 3 of them. I can't remember if they all did it at the same time ever, but like there were times where it wasn't just one. It wasn't just like a fluke thing. And also, I don't really know how it would be a fluke thing. I think I wrote a lot of it off as a kid sometimes, of just being like, oh, you know, whatever, maybe it just whatever. But thinking of it as an adult, I'm like, it's not possible for those to just go off because they're being controlled by the rotation of the item, right? So like they end when the thing stops spinning. So it's not like it can just start spinning again and have it go off. You have to twist it backwards. Does that make sense? You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like you have to physically put pressure and twist something backwards, and then it like enacts the rotation to like play the music box. So it can't just go off, right? Anyways, those things happen a lot. And so I think those were kind of like the first like more minor things that used to happen. And then I started seeing like shadow figures for sure, but there's different versions of it. So I would get sleep paralysis really bad. I would have terrible nightmares, like really violent nightmares. Like I had one where I wouldn't even talk to, like by the time my mom met my stepdad, I was 7. And then like my stepsisters would come over on the weekends. And I had like really bad nightmares about like my stepdad like murdering us all with an axe, like walking around, like I like lived it. It was like lucid dreaming of walking around and like and I was trying to hide from him, and I was watching him like just like chop up my whole family and stuff. And again, I was like 7 or 8, so it's not like I'm watching things like this, right? And so I didn't talk to him for like over a week because I was so scared of him, because it was like so real to me, and I would just like watched him brutally like massacre my family, and I was like, oh. Like, yeah, I would have things like that like actually affected me happen a lot. And sleep paralysis was like one of the biggest things. The whole routine of it would be, I would go to bed, I would be laying in my bed, and the way my bed was, one sec, I'll show you. So this was kind of like the layout of my house. You had the main entrance was like here. We had like a little deck thing that ran across, so like my window to my bedroom would like look out at like the deck. My room was here, my mom's room was here. I drew it too small first, and then this empty space in between it that led to the living room was like this hallway. It was longer, just imagine this is longer, and then this was a bathroom. So from my bedroom door I could see straight out to the couch. The head of my bed was like back here, so that like my head would be like looking out down the hall, if that makes sense. So I would look down the hall, it would be getting dark, I would like peek out from under my covers, and I would see these like 3 marching men coming down the hallway every single freaking night for years. Binks. How do I describe these? Okay, so picture, sorry, these are like my least favorite memory out of all of them. I hated them. They freaked me out so much. So picture 3 like blobs. They're not shadow men in the sense of like, you know how shadow men are typically described, these really tall, slender, like skinny shadow things moving. These were more like, they were like cartoons, but so they were like more gray than dark, like you could see them. There were 3 of them, and they would like march into my, like they would march from all the way down where I could see like the living room wall toward like down the hallway towards my room. I'm so sorry. They really freaked me out. Okay, it's hard to talk about. And 3 figures. One, the tallest one was in the middle, because it wasn't in order. So there was like a short, fatter, like stocky one in the front. There was a really tall, skinny one in the middle, and then there was like a normal size, normal body, like one in the back. So I'd see them every night, and they would start like, my kitchen area was like on this side. Sorry, it was on this side, and we had like a fireplace and stuff over here. And so like I don't know where they came from, but I would like, starting here, I would see them. They were like walking from somewhere, and then like start walking down the hallway, like marching in a row of 3, the same order every single time. They'd be like dum, 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 dum. And once they got to like the threshold of my room, I would pull the covers over my eyes, and then would like stay under there until I got too hot, and then I would like peek out, and they would start over. So I was like, if I don't look, they have to start over. So I would just like put the covers back, you know, but then I would get like, I felt like I couldn't breathe, so like I would just like peek, and it would be starting, you know, so it was just like this over and over and over again. They were scary because of the way they like moved, and that's why I say like more like cartoons than people. It's like, you know, in The Ring, the way she like crawls up the well, the second ring, where she's like crawling up the well, and like her legs are all, you know, going over like her arms, and it's like the very like contortionist type movements. Or in the first one where she's coming out the TV, like that's how they walked. So it was like not normal. It was like like imagine like 3 people trying to march. It's not just normal walking, like their knees are coming up, and they're in this like single file trying to march, but the whole time they're like, you know, just, oh god, I hated them. Oh, I hated them. Getting like chills. Okay, so that was like the main thing that I dealt with over and over, and I would get sleep paralysis. Like, but every time I would fall asleep, I would get sleep paralysis after that. So it was like, there was no, I just was like, I didn't want to fall asleep too, because I didn't want to see the lady that I saw in my sleep paralysis, but also I didn't want to like, I didn't want to be awake because I didn't want to see these. I just felt like so trapped everywhere. And then I would have nightmares, and I would have, what, you know, whatever it is. So, sorry, I'm talking fast, and they're like scary to think about. Okay. The next part of it is just when I would fall asleep, I would see this old lady every single time when I would get sleep paralysis. So I couldn't move. And again, I was a kid. I didn't know what sleep paralysis was. I didn't even know what it was, honestly, until I was like in my late teens. I didn't know it was a thing that happened like to other people. If you've never had it, it's basically your body shuts down on you, and it starts in a like, you come out of a dream. So it's never like you're actively dreaming. Like, you know that you're awake, and you can like open your eyes and look around and stuff, but you can't do anything. Like, your whole body is frozen. That's the thing that like prevents you from like getting up or acting out what you're seeing in your dreams or whatever, right? Your body is in this shutdown state. Sleep paralysis comes in when your mind wakes up, but your body doesn't get the same signal. Like, whatever happens, it's like mixed up for a minute. So you can be in this like paralysis state physically while mentally you're wide awake. And it can last for, it's not ever super long, you know, but sometimes it can last for like 10-15 minutes is probably the longest I've ever had. Most of the time it's only a couple minutes, where you're just telling yourself, or, you know, like, get out of this, like, you're awake, move your toes, you know, whatever, like, this isn't real. And then you can kind of like breathe and come back into your body. But that is like something that you have to learn over time. So when this first started happening to me, I didn't know what was going on, and I also was really little, and so I had never heard of it. I didn't know anyone else who had it, you know, things like that. And I would wake up, I would open my eyes, I wouldn't be able to move at all, and I'd be like on my back looking straight up at my ceiling, and there would be this old woman like floating on top of me. So like her face was so close. It was like that, right? She's like very close to me. And I would open my eyes and I would see her, and I would close my eyes and I could hear her. And it didn't really matter, because I would be like, either way, she's like right, like when I closed my eyes, I could see her face I have like a really good imagination, so I could still see it because I could hear. It was like the same thing. It didn't matter if my eyes were open staring at her or closed, because I saw it either way. People refer to it as like the old hag, or like being ridden by the witch or whatever, because they have like similar experiences of like people like physically being sat on, or the feeling of you being pressed down or pulled down, those type of things. Mine was like always floating above me. She would never touch me, but I just couldn't move. And she was just screaming in my face, but it wasn't loud. So it's like her face was going like this, like, you know, like doing that, but the sound coming out of her mouth was like a whisper, and it was not matched with what she said. So like if she was going like, you know, whatever, the sound coming out was like, you know, like this really like whispery, weird. It wasn't like, it was like a different language, but not anything I've ever heard. It wasn't like I don't know. It wasn't like actively speaking different. It was like a language not from here. Like, it wasn't just sounds. She was saying words, but in a way that I had never heard. Does that make sense? Oh God, these are all so hard to explain. I hope this is interesting. Like, thinking of it now, I'm like, is this even? No, I don't know. Anyways, she freaked me out. She was like her and those dudes, those were the worst of it. Those were like the scary ones. The rest that I had they weren't like, those were the ones that I actually thought were like scary and like maybe evil and trying to like get me, you know? And I think those were the things that were like influencing a lot of my like bad dreams and my nightmares. And I would like, what I wrote down was sleepwalking, because at this time I would sleepwalk. I would do weird stuff where I would like get up and I would walk, like my mom would be watching TV or whatever, and I would just like stand at the edge of the couch and stare at her. She said that she would come into my room and I would like sit up and just sit straight up and look at her and be like, and like speak in a weird language, like it, the way she said it described kind of like the sounds that I would hear the lady speak, just stuff like that, just really weird. I'll ask my mom for more of them, because obviously I don't know what I was doing sleepwalking. Those are all ones that I've heard her tell me. Like these were kind of like the worst ones, and especially sleep paralysis and stuff too, because when I would describe it to my mom, she would talk about like her, so she got it too, right? So I thought it was just like something that people get, and she was like, yeah, I would have that happen. Or for hers, it was more of like feeling like something was pulling her from like under her bed, trying to pull her through the bed. And for mine, it was more of just like I couldn't move and I would see these things. And when I did get older and like moved, like I still have it to this day. It's not as frequent, thank God, because it is like one of the worst feelings in the world. I get it maybe like once or twice a year now for the past like 10 years, which is like much more manageable. And when I do get it now, it's totally different version. It's more of like how my mom described it, where I'll be sleeping and I sleep on my side. So I'll have a feeling like I'm being pulled off my bed from like behind me, like off the edge of a bed, and then I'll just be falling. It just feels like I'm falling for forever, and I'm just like sucked into this like vortex where I'm like pulled off my bed and falling endlessly. It's horrible as well. There's no better version of it, but it is different than how I got it as like a kid, and it's more in line with how sleep paralysis is actually described, where you have these like physical sensations as well, where you're being like pulled down something or like pressed on, where you can't breathe, all that. When I was a kid, I didn't have that. I literally just couldn't move, and I would just see this woman. Going back to my mom buying the house and me not knowing anything about the like previous owner dying, the kind of first things that were strange were I would smell, like it would smell, all of us, not just me, and it would just smell like someone was like smoking in the house. It wasn't like a lingering smell, it was like smelled like someone was actively smoking right in front of you, right? Which is a much different smell. And that would kind of combine with like these like faint kind of like dog barks. So they first kind of sounded like they were outside on the property somewhere, and I thought they were just like loose dogs. But kind of it would progress, and it would sound like it was coming from like the porch, the patio, you know. I'm scaring myself. I keep hearing things. So we hear these dogs barking or whatever. And so one day I went to my mom and I was like, what? Like, what is it? Why does it smell like smoke? Why are these dogs barking? You know, obviously not just like that. It was like some version of me being like, what is this? Lost my mom a story. Full story. All I remember from it is the details of like, he was a smoker, died in his house, and his dogs, like everybody in that, they all died. And so then I was like, oh man, you know, like that freaked me out. I was hearing like, you know, all these things, and my grandpa would hear it too, because my grandpa came to stay with us for a while. And I remember waking up because I heard it, and I looked out, and my grandpa had like a crucifix. He was like Irish Catholic, like from Ireland, Irish Catholic, and he had a crucifix, and he was like walking around with it in front of him, and like he had like a crucifix in one hand, a rosary in the other, and he was just like walking around praying, like just trying to go to the bathroom. Yeah, so anyways, the main other things is like, I remember I finally stopped, like the men that would walk into my room every night, the scariest ones. But I was just so over it. I was done. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. They were like walking to the hallway, and I was like, what are they going to do? You know, what's worse that could happen? I just don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I'm so sick of this. So in my head, I was like, I'm just going to go sleep in my mom's room. The way it happened was I got up out of bed, and they started walking faster, and I started getting scared. So I started running out of my room. And we kind of like met in the middle. So like I kind of like ran through the first one. So I would run out and go in and then to her is what I'm trying to say. So because of that, I like ran through the first one, and I was and it was like cold and awful. And I just like ran to my mom, and I was like crying, and I explained to her, and I was like, I see these things or whatever. And then she felt really bad because she was like, you know, I thought it was just I thought people just saw this, and I was like, I don't want to, I'm tired of it. I'm tired in general, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, basically just felt bad. Just being like, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Like, you're not, like, you shouldn't have to see those. Like, we'll get a priest in, we'll get the house blessed, whatever it is, right? So they never came back after that. And I don't know if it's just like the being scared of it part was gone, or my mom getting the priest to bless the house. I don't know what it was, but like it ended with like those, like I still got the sleep paralysis lady, I still had issues with that, my doll still moved, I still had a bunch of like, you know, things would turn on, all that stuff, but those like 3 dudes were like the scariest part to me. And after I ran through them, I never saw them again. Thank God. There was also things, I'll ask my mom about this too. I have a weird memory of like seeing a little face. Yes. Okay. I was in my mom's room, I remember that, and I was talking about something. And I looked up, and in the corner of her bedroom, like the ceiling corner, there was like a little face of like a little boy. I was raised Catholic, so to me it looked like a cherub. Like, that's how I described it to my mom, because it looked like this. It just looked like a little like jovial, happy little like fat baby boy like smiling in the corner. Could have been anything, but to me, like, so my memory of it is that there was like a cherub in the corner, because that's like the comparison I had. And I'm curious to know what, like, if I just remember that, like, I all I can remember from it, I don't remember the setting, don't remember what we did, don't remember what my mom said, don't remember any of that. All I remember is just that face in the corner. And, like, it was there smiling, and then it kind of, like, faded back in. I wasn't scared only because I associated it with a cherub. If that happened to me now, I'd be terrified. The wind chimes, too, that was a big thing. We had wind chimes on our back porch, in our front porch, and they would play songs. I don't even remember. It wouldn't be like, you know, wind chimes just are, you know, blowing in the wind. They're just tunes. The ones around our house would play like specific like melodies that we knew. So that was like something that really freaked me out. And then also when I grew up, I remember being like in my 20s and watching like Ghost Adventures or something, and people just being interviewed talking about like how wind chimes were like tools for, not like portals, but they were things that were like easily accessible, and you could like, if you were a spirit or whatever, you could like easily interact with them, is the way to say it. And that would like freak me out, because I was like, oh my God, you know, the wind chimes. I was just like, I'm so scared of wind chimes to this day. I've never had them in a place I've lived. I will never have them in a place I don't find them soothing. I find them really creepy because of this. So those were all the main, like, the first house of my personal ones. And then the ones with my sisters were like, we would this was a fireplace that was in the corner, and we were like in the mornings, on like Saturday mornings or wataver, we would always wake up earlier than like my mom, and my dad would already be awake, but he would be out, like he would get us bagels from this like bagel shop that was 45 minutes, no, like 30 minutes away, but like it would take like an hour-ish like round trip for him to like go get them, wait, get the stuff, come back, right? So during that time my sisters and I would go out, and this little like ring that like, if this was a fireplace, this was like an elevated brick platform. I don't know why we felt safe here, but we did. And we would take the fireplace wood and we would build like a little fort wall right here. And we're safe in this corner. And so we would just sit there. We would sit on, and this was like very frequently, we would build a little safety corner area and sit there until like it was time to go outside, or like warm enough to go outside, or like until we didn't, or like our parents would be awake or out or whatever, because oh God, it's just so funny to think of, like, looking back on. And the one that I remember the clearest was looking over to like, we were sitting at the fireplace, right? And I was looking towards the door, and I saw like this woman walk by it, like walk in front of the door, like a profile shot. But then when she got to the little, like, we had like a glass window pane at the top of it, she would walk by and like she like looked in, and then I like screamed, or I don't know what I did, and then she was gone. I remember that one, like I could, like her, like she had black hair, she had really green bright eyes, and I used to call her the witch. Like in my head I would be like, she looked like how I pictured like a young like witch would look. And then I don't know if it's real or if I made it up, because we would play in our acres, our neighbor that was closest to us, we would call her house the witch's house. just because she had a dog, and she would like give him bones, so like her yard had bones all over it, so it would be like, oh, a witch lives here. We would like trespass. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not proud of it, I didn't know at the time, but we would like, there was like a huge section of our fencing that was out, and we would just go onto the property and like collect the bones and like hide behind like her trees and fences in her yard. Oh my God, we were creepy kids too, for real. So like that's where I'm like, is this real? Am I merging two things? Like, why am I calling her the witch? Because of like the association I had with like the next door neighbor's house and being like, oh, maybe that's a witch. Like, you know, I don't know. So, okay, yeah, I think those are like the main things in that house. More, I guess like one-off ones would be, I had a friend over one time. By this point, my dad had built like loft beds for like when the girls would stay over too. So we would all be in one room because it wasn't like a huge house. If you walked in, you had a bed on this wall and then you had a bed on this wall. And these were both like elevated up here, and then underneath it was like another bed and then like a play area. So at this point, I'm trying to remember how old I was. I had to have been like 10 or 11, and my friend was over. We were playing on my bunk beds, like elevated beds. We were playing Spider-Man. So basically, I would climb up on a stool, I would get up here, I would jump from this bed to this bed, and then I would jump down and like Spider-Man pose. That's the shit I played when I was little. I would play Tomb Raider too. I would dress up in full Tomb Raider and just run around, like jump on rocks and shit. Okay? Anyways, we're playing Spider-Man. Just a normal girl. Just like such a weird kid. Okay? And I had like, it was like the full, okay, this is why it's so funny and scary to me, because it's like my head was not in the like, I was not anywhere close to trying to have a scary moment. And I think that's why this one really stands out to me. I'm in like full Spider-Man mode. I have like string. I have like yarn wrapped around my wrists, tied, and then balled up in my fists so that when I jump down, I can shoot my web. So ridiculous. That was my favorite movie. I used to watch it like every day, so I was like saying the lines for it. I'm just saying this to say at no point of this was me even remotely thinking about being scared, trying to be scared, whatever, right? So we're doing this, and it was like my turn. I jump up, and then I jump over to the other bed, and I jump down, you know, whatever. And we had the lights off because it was like daytime, but it was like kind of dusk. But I had that big window in my room, so you could still see everything, but it was kind of like when the sun sets, you know, like things are kind of in shadow, so you can't see it like how I am right now, but you can still see. I jumped to the other bed, standing up there, I'm like, oh, I'm Spider-Man, you know, my friend's staring at me, and she's just like, and I get down, and I like spray with the web or whatever, and she's just like still looking at me, and she's like, what, you know, just kind of like blank face. She's like, 1 second, goes over, turns the light on, kind of looks around, and she's like, all right, never mind, sorry. And she's like, is it my turn? Turns the light off, we go back to doing whatever. She goes up, does the same thing, jumps from like one bed to the other. She's Spider-Man now. And when she gets to the second bed, behind her, like, if I could draw this, I also don't want to like act it out because it's weird. Okay, so behind her, like towards the, like she's at the edge of the bed and this is like on the wall. I see this like little kid, like a little girl, laying like this, like with her like hand kind of like staring at us, like just laying on the bed in the back like this, but she has no eyes. It's just these huge circle, like these huge dark ovals. Okay, now the thing that's weird with this is like I had this big bear. I had this giant bear. He was huge. He was at the edge of my bed, and so initially my friend, when she turned the lights on and turned the lights off, it's because she was like, oh, it's the bear, because the bear's paws have these huge round eyes, like, or not eyes, but you know, like how a bear, like his thing, but he had 3, so it's like the paw area and these big like pads. For the sake of being like, maybe this is explainable, we'll say it was 2. Basically, I'm trying to say that like the way so like if this is his body and he's sitting up against a wall, his foot came out and it kind of like it was like sideways, right? It was enough to be like, when she turned the light on, she sees it and she's like, that must have been it. And she also didn't deal with this ever, right? This isn't like something that happens to her. This is just something that happens to me. So when it's my turn and I see the same thing, she's up there and I see the same thing. The difference is like, if the bear was like this kid was like looking straight at us, not flipped out at all. And it was like a full body of like a person, like all the way down, and like her little elbow coming up and like resting her head on an arm that was like propped up, like a full, like it was not this shape, but the only thing that was similar is the huge black eyes. And so when I see it, oh my god, that was not helpful. That was not helpful. I hope you got the drawing motion out of that, because that's not a helpful like diagram. Anyways, so she gets up there and I'm looking up and I'm just like, you know, like my heart drops because I'm embarrassed. I'm like, this can't be happening right now. I'm in full Spider-Man mode, you know, like I refuse to believe it. But I didn't know that that's exactly what she saw. So then she gets scared because she sees me looking and she's like, oh my god, like, do you see it too? And I'm like, and then I get freaked out. So I run over, I turn the light on. And then again, we both see nothing. And I was like, and then we're describing it to each other. We're like, this little girl, you know, this little kid, huge black void eyes. Like, I can't express how disgusting these eyes. They're not like, it's not just like black holes. It's not like Coraline buttons or whatever. It's like, there's no end to like the depth of a black hole. And they were two just huge, like just, and it was like, that was the whole face. There's no other like details. It's just like a face shape, like her resting on her hands. And I mean, there could have been, but that's the only thing I noticed is just these, like, most of her face is just these two huge black circles. Anyways, we turn the light on. We're both like panicking. I think we're screaming. We're doing something that like has my dad or my mom, someone came in, and like as they're coming down the hallway, the pillows on my bed, so like my bed was here, so my pillows would have been like, I slept like on this side, I think, but either way, so it's like, even if they were right here, whatever, like say a pillow was falling or whatever, a pillow comes off the bed and it falls down and then goes under my thing. So it's like being like as if an arm was like throwing it under, because like if it just fell off the bed, it would just fall straight down. It like went, it was go down and then curved and was like landed under, like in the middle of the under the bed area. So like right here. So it falls and like lands down here. And this either happened right before, it was my mom or dad, don't remember. It either happened right before they walked in or like as they were doing it. But yeah, so things like that would happen. If I think of other ones, we'll circle back to it, but we're gonna move on. I think I would have been around 10 to 12. I'm trying to remember. It's the time I was confirmed. So I went to Catholic camp. It was like a week-long thing in like San Jose or somewhere. The way this was set up, to my best recollection, right? It's been a long ass time. This is like the main parking lot. You come in, this is the main church. And the perspective of this is like not accurate. Okay, so the main church stuff was here, and then this was like where we, like half of it was like a chow hall type thing. Like we had dinner in here and there were tables in here, but we also did like some classes and like some learning and stuff in here. And then outside of it, like this area was kind of like open land. So like pretend that this isn't, I mean, these are kind of like relative, but like there's a lot of space in between here, right? I just don't have a piece of paper big enough. So this section was kind of like outdoors, woodsy, like common area. So it had like a little bonfire and like chairs, or like, I think it was logs, honestly. Logs around it that you could sit on, and we would like, you know, have s'mores or tell camp stories or whatever out here. And then this part is like up in the woods. So there's like a little bit of distance here, right? So this is the very bottom of the hill. This all is it's like a sloped, it's all uphill. And there was like little paths. So like if this was a cabin, this was a cabin, this was a cabin, there was like a main center path, and there was like branching off things to get to the cabins. They had renovated every single cabin. They were doing renovations on it, right? They were this whole area. They had done every single cabin except for this one, which was the very top of the hill. This was like, I think it was St. John the Baptist cabin. I like have a memory thinking it's that. And there was like a little like shower hall or restroom or whatever out here too, right? But every other area here had been renovated. So of course yours truly was in this scary ass cabin, right? And when I say cabin, it's like not even, it's like a very, very small, it's basically just a square that has 2 bunk beds on each side. I'm trying to even think if there's anything else in it, like maybe like a sink, or like 1 toilet and a sink, I think. Very bare bones, just like basically a square with like a bedroom and then like a toilet area. All this too is like gonna sound insane. Once you got to here, there was like a main path and then the branching off ones, right? Once you got to like the top one where we were staying, there was like 3, because it's elevated, there was like platforms. So this is, you had stairs to get up here, and there was like a platform, and then steps, and then back to like the main road with all the renovated ones. But there were like segments to it because it's like going up the hill, right? So they had to like put in these steps. So at first when we were there, the cabin was just kind of weird, but we're like, damn, this sucks that we got this like old shitty cabin. Everyone else had these like brand new nice cabins, nice beds, nice everything, and everything had been like blessed by the priest. You know, I thought this was funny too. I don't know why that was the only one that wasn't blessed by the priest. I'm just trying to think of why. Like, why wouldn't you want to bless everything anyways? Regardless, I guess if you're not Catholic too, I mean, it's basically just walking in with like I grew up Roman Catholic, like Latin Catholic, so like the Latin, traditional Latin mass, so everything's in Latin, and they use like incense. So when they bless a home, they have like holy water in one, like they're chanting, you know, and blowing the incense around, and then they're also like sprinkling with holy water while we're praying. So that's kind of the thing that's been done to all the other places of the property except for where we're staying. I feel like we don't have issues for the first couple days. It's not a big deal. Like, we're just like, this cabin is like gross. I think we had some issues with like rats and stuff, but at the time we weren't thinking, we were just like, we're in the middle of the woods in the one cabin that's not renovated. So to us, we're like, whatever. It was mice. And the next day we find a dead mouse. Like at the bottom, like the first platform, there's a dead mouse on it, like on the main big concrete platform. And we were like, oh God, you know, like poor little guy, sweep it aside, not thinking about it still. So that's the first day. Second day is a dead mouse. Day 3, there's a dead mouse, but its head is like cut off. But it doesn't look, it's not like a clean cut or anything. It looks like a cat got it or something, where it's just like torn, kind of like, you know, torn off. So at this point we're kind of like, what, like, oh my God, we're like infested with mice, like what is going on? And we tell the priest, like, hey, or we tell our dorm, I don't know, whoever it is, we're like, hey, like one of the nuns or something, our dorm is like infested with mice, like can someone take a look at it? Basically they're just like, there's no way that mice should be getting in unless you're leaving the door open. We're swearing like we're not leaving the door open, plus there's dead mice all around our cabin. And that's kind of when the priest got involved, because they kind of like looked at us like, you know, like they kind of like looked at each other and they're like, oh, dead mice, you know. And then they tell us that they've had like issues with like local teenagers in the area doing like ritual, like satanic ritual. Okay, this is all gonna sound crazy. You have to understand. If you're like a younger viewer who's not 35, this was like a big thing growing up, like in the 90s. People like satanic panic was like a real thing, right? And so it was very common for if something was happening in a town, or you found something weird or whatever, like it was like one of the first things people would jump to is like, oh, they must be like worshiping the devil, or it must be like a satanic ritual. That was like a very common thing. Like I grew up hearing that. So to me, even at the time, I didn't really like, I was just like, okay, whatever. But we 100% accepted that as like, oh, there just must be these teens who come out at night and leave mice on our like these not even doorstep at this time, it's like platforms, right? So anyways, the point of that all is to explain why we were just like, oh, okay, it's just like Satan worshippers messing with us. I truly believe that. Everyone did. So, and you know what? Maybe it was. Anyways, so that's day 3. So on the 4th day, we start having problems like inside the cabin. We start like hearing things, seeing shadows, like not being able to sleep, people having nightmares, whatever it is. Like we're just like generally like creeped out. So at this point we're like, can we get our cabin blessed? then if like you guys think these teens like it, because the reason we knew it wasn't blessed is because the priest was like, it probably is only happening to your guys' things, because we blessed all the other renovated cabins and everything, and yours is like the old one, the only old one left that still needs to be repaired or whatever, so we hadn't gotten around to it. So we, after like Spenny and I being creeped out on like the 4th day, we go to the priest and we're like, hey, can we get our cabin blessed? And he's like, yeah, sorry that I didn't do it. Basically comes up, does the blessing. We feel better, and we're like, all right. So that night, the night of like the 5th day, we're like praying, saying our nightly prayers or whatever at the campfire area, and we go back up to walk up to our cabin, and we start seeing like weird shadows just in general when you're in the woods, right? And this was like trees surrounding everything, and we're a little bit distant from the other cabins too, so it's not like we don't have like lights or anything in the same ways that other people do. They all had like brand new, like, you know, we had like the old versions of everything, so like our light bulbs kind of flickering, and we're like a little creeped out anyways. And we get inside and we start seeing like shadows being cast on the wall from the trees outside, but they're all really like freaky faces. And all of us at the same time are just like, oh my god, do you see that? Or do you see, you know, whatever. And it 100% could be just like a group of like teens freaked out by each other and getting freaked out by these things too. I forget what it was, but basically it escalated a little bit more. We were like hearing things, smelling things, seeing things. It smelled like shit. It smelled like sulfur. It smelled like horrible. We start freaking out because we're also like all Catholic, so we're very scared of like the possibility of being like possessed is like a huge fear. Just devil in general, like seeing any kind of like demon, and these are kind of like things you're raised with too, of knowing that like that is a point of like the devil to try to like always get you in like your weakest moments, and like the more scared you are, the worse it is, all that stuff, right? So that's kind of like the mentality we had, and so we're just trying to pray like every night, because all these things are getting worse, but we start getting this smell, and we start seeing the mice and everything. So we go back the next day, the 6th day, we're like, hey, we know we're almost gone, but like, is there anything else you can do? It's really scary. We're not sleeping. Like all night we smell the smell. It smells like something's dying. It smells like rotten eggs or whatever, which again, we're like 11 or 12, so we don't know that that's like a thing of like the smell of like rotting or like sulfur or whatever. We don't associate any of that with like, we're just like, we're not watching like The Exorcist, right? We're like kids, and we're Catholic kids. We're like sheltered. We're not allowed to watch a lot of stuff like this. We're not allowed to like see, you know, the point is we don't have references for a lot of the things that we're citing that are like known to be like demonic possession type things, right? Yeah. So basically they come back up and they do like a full blessing. Like I guess the first one was like a faster one. This time it's like, it takes like 30 minutes. The first one was just come in like a prayer. It took like 2 minutes maybe. This one was like a whole thing. They brought, you know, more people. They said prayer, did whatever. It lasted for a while. We were in the cabin too. We were praying with it. We were like supposed to, you know, help build up the energy, and like the good forces would like stay with us, all this stuff. So we had like a whole thing. They left, and then that night was the worst of all of them. That was like the 6th night, and we were leaving the next day. And so when we came back to the cabin for like night after like dinner and showers and stuff, there was like a dead rat or a dead mouse in, I'm trying to, sounds insane. Its head was like completely cut off, like severed clean this time, with like a little space. The mouse body was here, and then the head was like clean cut and like an inch away, and then its stomach was like slit open, and the like organs and just like entrails and stuff were in like a perfect circle around it. Obviously this sounds insane. I understand this sounds insane. I wish I knew anybody who went to this camp or like that I could call to like confirm this story, because out of everything, this is like the one that first off to me makes the least sense. And my Catholic ones in general do. I don't know. We'll talk about that after. Anyways, I get that this sounds insane. And to us, we're still seeing it and being like, oh my god, the like satanic teenagers or whatever who are around here are like fully doing a ritual now. Like whatever it is, like this is like their final step or whatever. And this was like not there when we went though, so like this is in between it. All these other people were here just now. We did the blessing, we all went to dinner, we did whatever. So in this time, this is here now. So we're freaked out too, because we're like, where are these people coming from? Are they like staying, like, are they in the woods behind our cabin? So we're like scared, and we don't want to, like, we like go back down, and we're like crying because this is like scary. Like, I know it sounds so stupid and like not believable, but like seeing this like perfect circle of guts around, oh my god, it was just like horrifying. So we go back down, we're crying, we're like asking them to please do something. We're asking for them to exorcise the cabin is what we asked. We're like, can you do like an exorcism or something? We're like, we don't, like, obviously this is too much, like these teens or whatever they're blaming it on, we're like, this is like too far, we're really scared, we don't want to sleep in here. And they're like telling us that it's not, they're like, it's fine, like you'll be okay, that they can't do, they're like, that's not, like, it takes a lot more to do an exorcism, like this is not the level, and usually it's on a person, not like a place, and a bunch of stuff. So basically they won't do it. They're like, just go to bed, like we'll come back up, we'll clear it away. They come up, they see it, they're just like, no one knows what's going on now, and we're just all like freaked out. They get rid of it. The, like, one of the nuns stays with us for a while, and she's like, I'll stay and we'll pray until bedtime or whatever, and then like once you guys are sleeping, we'll leave and it should be fine, we're leaving tomorrow anyways, we'll do something about the cabin, but like this is your last night type thing. We get into the cabin, we're all scared, and the nun has gone. We all like are awake. She didn't, like, I mean, I don't know if we fell asleep and woke up, but either way at this point we're all like awake. And we're all scared, and we're seeing the same stuff, and we're smelling the same stuff, and we're hearing stuff, and we're hearing like scratching on like the door. It sounds like people are like outside the cabin. We're hearing like knocks and scratch, all this stuff. 100% could be branches, 100% could be an animal, like whatever it is. But in the moment, like, I get being skeptical about things that are like very easily explained in the woods. But at the same time, for, you know, this whole build up for us, we're not even like horrified, like we're gonna all be like possessed tonight, we're gonna be like taken by the devil, like just the worst, absolute worst fear you can be if you're like a Catholic kid is like being like possessed and taken by the devil, right? So that's what we're thinking. We're all like crying. It's a bunk bedroom, but we're all like on the floor together. We like moved all our stuff to be on the floor to like sleep side by side because we're all scared. The moonlight was like hitting this branch or like this tree. It was like a pattern of leaves in a tree, but the way it was hitting it, when it showed up in our room, it was just this massive, like scary, like demon face shadow. And so we're all terrified, and we're all seeing the same stuff and hearing the same stuff. And everyone around me decides that they're gonna say the St. Michael prayer. And this is like when it became really bad for me specifically, because I didn't know this prayer, and I was just kind of like, wait, what? Like this whole everyone else the whole time has been saying the same stuff that I've said. And then one girl was like, hey, you know, like, why don't we say this prayer? This specifically talks about it type thing. And everyone was like, oh my god, like, how did we not think of that? And for me, I'm like, wait, what? Wait, huh? Please don't. So anyways, they start saying this prayer, and it's just like repetitive, and I don't know it. If you're not Catholic, you don't know this prayer. Basically, it's specifically about like St. Michael and the devil. So it's like St. Michael the Archangel. Sorry. God. I get so panicky telling these stories. Okay. I hope you know that they're real for me. Even if they weren't real, you know, like, I hope you know I'm not lying. Like, even if I was under psychosis or whatever, like, these are all real to me. I, like, can't talk. Okay. So, it's St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our safeguard against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who roam about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Crazy intense prayer. Crazy intense prayer, by the way. So I didn't know that. So they start chanting this prayer, like, about the devil and, like, evil and, like, casting them to hell and all this stuff. And I was like, wait, guys, what? Like, like, just so stressed out. And they're, like, you know, talking about, like, okay, like, you know, the energy, we're feeling better, like, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, me, I'm not. I'm starting to get, like, I can't breathe. I feel like I'm, like, crying because I can't say this prayer, and I'm like, it's gonna get me. I'm the only one out. They're praying for a minute, and they're like, it's gonna be okay. Like, we'll just pray, like, just try to, like, you know, memorize it, like, as we go. So I'm trying, I'm, like, saying, like, random words, but I'm trying, but I'm, like, also crying and, like, hyperventilating, because I'm, like, I'm gonna be the one possessed. I don't know this prayer. Everyone's, like, chanting it around me, and I'm, like, oh my god. Such a traumatic experience. Okay, anyways, we do this for a long time. I'm feeling worse and worse. I'm feeling sick. It's starting to smell horrible. I'm like, this doesn't seem to be helping. Like, I feel, you know, I feel like whatever. And they're like, okay, well, let's just like try to go to sleep. We only have a couple hours, because at this point too, it's like 3 or something, you know, it's like we're not sleeping this whole time, we're tired. They're like, okay, like the shadow's gone and stuff, so they're like, all right, let's try to go to bed. We all lay down, and I was like in the so it's like, if you're the beds, bunk beds here, wall here, my head is facing the only open area. And it's not a huge cabin, but I'm still like feeling vulnerable, because I like physically am not like enclosed anywhere. It's just all open and dark behind me. I'm like smelling stuff, I'm hearing stuff, and I don't know this prayer. So I'm like already on edge. And they're like, okay, like let's go to bed. Like let's say it like one more time, and then we'll just try to go to bed. We'll just do like one last sleep thing. So at this point, I'm just like silently sitting there, like trying to say it in my head, like saying certain words. And I'm like, my eyes closed, and I'm like, okay, like St. Michael, you know, like defend. And they're like saying the whole stuff. I'm trying to like add in what I can. And I start crying, because I start just feeling like the worst feeling in my life. I don't know how to explain it. It just gets really cold. And I have this like really bad, you know, when you watch static, like when you're looking at a TV and you see static, the off and on exchange of like the white versus black dots are kind of like, that is what static is, right? It's like the on and off of all these things. That's like how I felt. I felt like every single cell in my body was going on and off at like it just was this horrible like mismatch of like every like possible signal in your body getting like crossed. So it just felt like you were, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like everything is going on and off, and my body is going like hot and cold, and every single piece of me is just like feeling horribly on edge. And I feel over my entire head there. This is horrible. Okay. I feel like a hand, but not any part of the hand. All I feel is like the claws. Like, picture if someone had like, it's 3, but it's like this. So like if this was my entire hand, where I have 2 fingers here and 1 finger here, that's what it felt like. But like these were like round, sharp claws on all my fingers. So it's like, this is gonna be a stupid drawing as well, but like my head, and then it's like these really sharp, long, like almost like needle-like fingers is what it felt like. So like that and that's that. I mean, it looks so stupid, but like, so I'm just laying there, eyes closed, and I feel this like hand, like the top of my head and what is up, like what's off the ground of the bottom, like the back of my head, like latch on, like I just feel it from here start, and like I feel the point of where all these 3 are first, right? I don't know what it is. It's just like 1 second I'm laying there trying to pray, and the next I feel like the point of these things. I just feel this, like that contact, right? And I'm just like frozen. I'm like, what is, like, what's on my face? And then as they're saying the prayer, it starts like the slowest, oh god, this sounds so stupid. I'm so like, it's like the slowest, like, you know, feeling. I start screaming. I straight up start screaming. I jump up. I'm like fully crying now, fully screaming. Everyone in our dorm starts screaming because like no one knows what's going on. I'm trying to say like that there's something, that something just like touched me, that something like physically just scratched me. So like one of the nuns, like there's like little nun chambers too, like the cabins and stuff. Basically one of them hears it, comes up. She's like, you know, like what's going on? So we're like we're like, get out. We go back down to the little like fire pit area. We're sitting on the logs and we're just like, we're explaining this. We're saying what happened. I was talking about like I was the only one who didn't know this prayer, and like I felt something, and it felt like these like 3. I was like, I don't know how to describe it, because again, I'm a kid, so I don't know any associations with shit. So to me, I'm like, I don't know if it's a hand or something, but it felt like a hand. But I was like, it doesn't make sense because it only had like 3 claws. They're getting freaked out again too. Like the nuns are all looking at each other and stuff, and we're like, we're smelling it, we're hearing it. We're like hearing knocks and scratches and stuff all night, that like mice are back. We have this thing. Anyways, that was like the end of it. Like, we didn't have to stay in the cabin anymore for the rest of the day. We were doing whatever, and then we were like confirmed that day, and then we went home. So we're like, we don't, like, can we just stay outside? Like, can other people, like, will you guys get our stuff? Like, I was like, I'm not going back. Like, all of us were like, we're not going back in there. Blah, blah, blah. They decided to exorcise the cabin. The priest went up and like did an exorcism on the cabin. And we were like, okay. Would have been sick if you did that yesterday, but everyone said they couldn't. So they ended up doing it because they were like, they went up there and like, I don't know if something happened to them when they went up there. They were trying to like, you know, bring it down because they knew we were scared. So they weren't trying to scare us more, but I think like if they heard something or I don't know, saw something, whatever it was, like they ended up doing that. And then they closed it off too. They were like, until this one's renovated, like we're not putting more people in it. This is all, again, I was so young. A lot of us is like, I don't remember the full details, but I do remember just being horrified. I remember all the things on our steps every day. I remember that freaking hand. And then I also remember when I was like in my 20s, again, watching Ghost Adventures or something and learning about like the mark of 3 or whatever, of like how, you know, when you're like touched by demons or whatever, like it's in like 3s. It's like always the opposite. It's like the mockery of the Trinity. So it's everything's in 3s. So yeah, when I found that out, I started like crying. I started like crying because I was like, oh God, like all these, you know, all these things that like I find out later in my life that like bring me back to my childhood days basically just always freak me out. So, all right. Oh my God, this takes, I'm gonna have to like, I didn't realize like how many stories and stuff. I mean, like I know how many stories, but I didn't realize how many like detailed these things are. Okay, we'll do like a quick brief synopsis of my Catholic school time, and then I think we'll stop it. I have more, but I can do it another time if you guys are interested. But we'll end it with my Catholic school stories. So we lived in that house, the scary one, the first one, up until I was 13 or 14, starting freshman school. And when I was starting freshman in high school, my mom took me to Kansas. I was put in private boarding Catholic school, in a school I did not want to go to, by the way. I was angsty. I was an angsty teen. I was from California, first off. So to me, I was like, what am I going to do in Kansas? My grandpa had always wanted to go there. So my mom was trying to like, you know, make him happy because he was living with us by then. I've always had to defend why I was sent, because people are like, there's something you're not telling me. Like, you must have been a bad kid. Like, why would you be sent to like shipped off to like a private boarding Catholic school? My mom just wanted to do this for my grandpa. And my grandpa was like, slowly kind of, my grandma had just died. And so he was really depressed. And my grandpa was kind of getting like signs of dementia almost. So it was like something that he was like stuck on, and so she kind of wanted to do it for him. So basically I get to St. Mary's. It was called St. Mary's St. Mary's Catholic School in St. Mary's, Kansas. The town of St. Mary's is like 90% of them go to this church. They moved here for their faith, for their families. So the whole town, it's like kind of like I just want you to know the vibe of this place, right? It's totally different than like just going to a normal small town. It's like you go to a small town, it's like a different time zone almost, because there's also one other Catholic church in that town, and the other 10% of people go there, and a lot of the people who go there are like kind of shunned from the main people in town, because it's usually people who used to go to St. Mary's and they thought it was too intense, or like stuff started happening and they're like, I don't support this anymore, so they went to the other Catholic church, which is like more chill. But then they get like, what's it called? Yeah, shunned. Yeah, they get shunned by other people in town if you're found out going to this church. I say all that to say it's really intense. The town, the area, the people, all of it, so intense. It's kind of hard. Okay, so I just want you to feel that as like, picture yourself as like a teenager growing up in California, not intense, in the woods, like running around doing, you know, I dealt with other shit, but I never had to like, my structure for things was pretty like loose. Basically, I had what I was comfortable with in isolation and like, you know, taking care of myself type thing, to a very structured, insane town. Like the most culty place. Like, I want to go back and do like, I don't know, a video or something, but also I'm just like so scared of that place. Okay, so anyways, The second you cross the threshold, it's just like cornfields on one side, highway on the other, and then it's like a bubble. And when you pass into St. Mary's, it's like a different time, a different vibe. Every single person you see on the street, they're all wearing like tucked in like plaid shirts and jeans if they're a guy, with like boots if it's not a Sunday. If it is Sunday, same thing, but the jeans turn to slacks. That's the outfit. Every single man, no matter what age. So you could see like a 3-year-old walking around with that, which is weird. Every woman wears some form of like the most basic boxy, like plain kind of like t-shirt, just solid colors, and then like a cardigan, and then a skirt, like the longest skirt you can think of. So it's like I'm driving around this town, we just get there and I'm like, what? Like, where are we? And I'm from California. I'm like, I don't I want to keep saying that, but you know, like most of this initially is just like huge culture shock for me. I'm probably the only person in this whole area that like owns pants, you know, that I actively wear in my life, because everyone else is walking around. Like the women like don't, like, you wear that in and out of church all the time. There's no like you're considered like, if you walk around in pants or whatever, you're like a slut, you're like a whore, you know, like you're like showing off your body to try to like entrap all these like married men, you know. It's very like really sexist, really horrible behavior, right? That I was introduced to at a young age that I hadn't really previously experienced. The community we had at church, the same church, St. Pius X in Sacramento that I used to go to, was very welcoming, very nice. I loved going to church, because after church I would just like hang out with all the kids or play with people, and they had like a little bookstore inside the church. There was a bunch of stuff. Like I don't have bad memories of that church at all. Anyways, the plan was to board me for the first year while my mom renovated the house in California and got everything ready to like sell it, because that takes a long time. She was like, I'm gonna board you as a freshman. If I get finished early, I'll obviously come get you out and we'll find a place, you know, in St. Mary's. If not, by the time you're a sophomore, I'll be there. We'll go live in town or whatever. Like, you're not, like, the plan, I wasn't being like sent to private school for like 4 years by myself, right? But she was like, I'm gonna do this while I'm doing the house. You have to go to boarding school. I don't know when the weird, basically just the dorm itself was really creepy. Everything was separated in this school. So it's like the girls' school was one school, the boys' school was another, and they're in separate areas of the property. There's a big building with the chapel and everything in that we go to church throughout the weekend. And so all the guys do their stuff there. The college campus and stuff, it's all on that one side. And then up at the top of the hill, way up in the distance, is like where the girls are. Basically, we're just like kept up off in the distance, like not to be looked at or talked to. You got in trouble if you were like caught speaking to boys. You weren't allowed to like commingle or anything. Even at church, they make like you have to sit on separate like sides, so the altar and stuff is here, and then all the guys sit on one side, all the girls sit on the other. And like if you get caught like looking at them or whatever, like you just get in trouble a lot. Just a lot of rules like that. So already I was like feeling, you know, upset that like I'm losing a lot of just like what I was used to as just a human, being able to like go around in life. I was like, there's so many rules, I can't even like look at people anymore and I get in trouble. And one of those main factors was that like the boys were allowed to play sports, and they had like a big field and everything, and they were competitive, and they would go out and play football, and they were like ranked and would like play with other teams and stuff, and the college as well. And then girls weren't allowed to do any of that. And we also had to wear our uniform all the time, which is just like a, you know, plaid skirt, vest, like a little blue vest with a little tie with like a white shirt, and like stockings and like these clunky like black boot things. Ugly, like loafers. So that was like the biggest thing for me that made me in like a bad mood all the time, just a like bitchy little teen because I was so upset that I had like I couldn't play sport. I was like so mad about it because it's like a huge part of what I did. So every day I would go outside and I would shoot hoops. Also, it was freezing. Kansas is so cold in the winter, so I'd be like out there like wearing my skirt and my stockings, just freezing, trying to like shoot baskets, and I was getting mad. And I would like, basically I'm saying all this because this is where my anger issue started, and I think that kind of transitions into it. Started to get angry, and I would go outside and play like shoot hoops and shit. And one of the days I just got so mad, I like threw the basketball as hard as I could at like one of the lights outside, like a cluster light situation, and it like broke everyone. And I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna get in so much trouble. So then I start panicking. Obviously, like a dorm mother comes out. We had 2 people in our dorm, like 2 women who go to the church and live with us. They were called dorm mothers, and one of them came out and they're like, oh my god, what? I was like, I'm so like, it's cold, and I was like, I kind of slipped on this ice and the ball got away from me and, you know, hit this, whatever. So I got out of that one. I didn't get in trouble. Basically, they were just like, watch what you're doing, like, don't play if it's cold, you know, whatever. And I was like, okay, thank God. But then things were like, after I did that, other things started to break around me that I didn't do. I kind of look back at my time as like a really long nightmare, because I was so angry and depressed all the time that I would like get numb. And so these things would happen and I would just be like, this place sucks. It's so scary. This shit just happened. And I would just like shut down. That kind of progressed to like seeing stuff. Like I would see shadow figures throughout everywhere. It didn't start in our dorms. I would see it in the actual school first. Like we'd be like walking down the hall to like in between classes or like going back to our dorms for the night or for the end of the school day or whatever, and I would just see like, you know, it started with like out of the corner of your eye type stuff. I'm gonna describe it as Professor Snape. I know that's probably like the worst thing I could do because it's a Harry Potter reference. That's like a banned evil book in this community, but that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of Professor Snape. Like, just think of like a figure from a distance if you saw Snape and it was just like a black figure with like a black roby cape type thing walking really fast. That's what it looked like. And so eventually I was asking other girls, I was like, hey, like, what is that? And people are like, oh, we don't talk about that. That's like the Jesuit. Is that the word? Jesuit? That's such a strange word. Anyways, they were like, that's a Jesuit priest. I can't say it. You know what I'm saying. Is that it? It sounds weirder every time I say it. But basically, like, they were like, he killed himself in the bell tower. And I was like, what? And the school that I went to, by the way, this isn't the girls' school. Is like everyone in the community, all their kids go there to the girls' school. It's like the high school. And then at night when everyone leaves, we like the dorm girls just go like across the street right outside the school. So we would just wake up and go into school and then go to our dorms. Everyone else would go home. All these other kids have grown up in town, know the stories or whatever. So they're like, oh yeah, this building is like so haunted. This is like the original building that was here. This is the part that was like saved when the fire was here. But before that, this used to be like a missionary church for like this Jesuit priest or whatever. Basically, they said that he like went to the like bell tower and went all the way up to the top and then jumped out. So like he's haunted by him. And for me, I was like, well, was he like a bad guy? Because like this place seems like bad, and that doesn't, you know, like that just sounds like, even if he's depressed or whatever, but like Catholic kids are like, of course he's evil, like he killed himself, you know, that's like a mortal sin. You have to be like possessed if you're, you know, that type of energy. So we go back to our dorm. We're asking the dorm mother like, hey, you know, kids at school were talking about like this dude who like killed himself. Is that true? Like, is this place not like, but we're seeing weird things kind of like in the dorms or in the school. We're like, we're hearing weird things in the dorms, we're seeing weird stuff in the school. Is this a thing? And I don't know. I expected her to be like, no. Or I don't know. I didn't expect everyone to be like so open about like how weird this place was. But like both the dorm moms basically were like, oh yeah, like this, like there's some bad stuff in there. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there like, what is this place? Like this, I'm just like so beyond being pissed off. I'm just like so over this place. And this is like not even a month in at this point, right? I just got there. So she starts telling us all these stories, all these like horrible stories. I don't even remember most of them. The one I do remember is she was saying that she was in the school like helping lock up one night when like one of the nuns was, because all the teachers were nuns, so one of the nuns was like sick. She was like, I'll lock up for you. So she went to the school. She was like going, closing all, like turning all the classroom lights off, doing whatever. She said she saw the same thing like at the end of the hallway, like a man in a robe. And she grew up here, so she was like, I knew it was him. I knew not to like interact with it, engage with it at all. She's like, I just put my head down, my eyes down, I finished like turning the lights off, and then I like ran, you know, like started scooting my way down. But there's like levels to the school, so she's like trying to get down the stairs and get out. She said that when she was like in the stairway trying to, you know, headed down to the first floor, like running down the hallway type, like the whole time she's doing that to get to the main door, she starts hearing her name, and it just gets louder and louder. Like at first it sounds like someone behind her calling her name, and then eventually it's like just loud like to the point where like her ears, like the whole room, by the time she gets to the front door to like leave, it's like as if like thousands of people were like shouting her name in her ears everywhere around her. It was just like so loud she was like, you know, plugging, like panicking. It was like hurting her ears, trying to get out. The second she like opens the door, it all stops. It gets like super quiet. So she tells this story, and I'm like, what the hell? I was just so over it, and I was just pissed, and I was like, what has my family done to me? I was just betrayed and hurt, and I hated it there. And so I just kind of was like, you know what, whatever, it can't be that long. I cannot, like, I probably won't, like, my mom has to be done with this house eventually. Let me just deal with it. And we would try to make the best of things and try to like play games and be like normal kids in the dorms and stuff, but like even that was defeated by these like horrible things. So like, for example, we would try to play games on the second floor. The first floor was like where we all lived, where all our bedrooms and stuff was, and then there was a second and a third floor. We weren't allowed to go to the third floor. Don't know what was up there. They were just like, you can't go to the third floor. And it was boarded off in a really like dramatic way, like when you see like boards over like old like mine shafts and stuff, that's what it was to like the whole, like to get to the third floor. So I just never wanted to go, but also I'm like, what is up there? Like, they just blocked it off and pretended like it didn't exist, because it was like this whole place was just so scary. So the second floor was also scary, but it's where they kept, like, that's where the library was, which is like this tiny room with like just bookshelves and like religious books and other stuff. We also had a couple of tables up there for like studying, extra desks and stuff, but we weren't allowed to go outside past certain places. So it's not like we could play outside. And we also, like during the winter, like you didn't want to, it was so cold, you didn't want to do anything. So we're like, okay, let's go to the second floor. Let's play like hide and seek on the second floor. We did that for a couple weeks, and then we're like, this sucks. You can like see everywhere people are going. So we decided to play sardines, and we turned the lights off. And sardines, if you've never played, is like hide and seek, but the only difference is like when you find the person, instead of like them being it to go try to find the rest, you just hide with them. So eventually it's like reverse hide and seek. So eventually everyone is hiding in one spot, and there's one person looking for everybody. I was one of the people like looking for somebody, and I swore I saw her go into like this room. So I'm following her. I was like, hey, like, you know, where are you? And I'm trying to whisper because other people are looking, right? And I was like, hey, like, where are you hiding? And I hear see the chair move. And so in my head, I'm just like, okay. And it's like a table, like a desk table, and the chair's under it. So the chair pushes out a little bit from the table. So in my head, I'm like, oh, she's under there. Like, there's not enough room for us both to sit under this, but like I'll hide in this room too. I don't remember how it happens, but basically another girl comes in, and she sees the chair like pushed out. So she actually goes to look. She didn't see the chair move. She doesn't just assume someone's under there, and like instead of answering or like talking and being like, I'm right here. So she goes over, she pulls the chair out, and like I can't see because I'm on the other side, but I can hear it. So I hear her walk in, I hear her pull the chair out, look under, and then push the chair back in and leave. And now I'm getting scared because I'm like, why didn't she stay? So I like crawl out from behind the desk, and I look under it where I thought my friend was, and there's like no one there. So I obviously am like, I'm done. So I get out, I leave, I go find to the person who was just there. It was like, are you guys playing a prank on me? Like that place that you just, like, at this point I'm just talking because I'm like scared. I'm like, hey, sorry, are you like, that's not funny. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Other people like start coming out, and I was like, there's someone in there, and everyone else is like, no one is like saying that I was in. There's only like 8 to 10 of us. There's not that many of us, right? So I'm freaked out. I tell everyone, I'm like, I swear to God, that chair moved. Like, that's why I went in there. And she's like, well, it was out. Like, she's basically saying, like, I can confirm half the story if you're telling the truth, you know? Because went and checked under there because the chair was pushed out anyways, and then there was no one there, so I pushed it back in. So anyways, I'm already freaking out. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. Like, you guys can play. I'm just going to go sit in the library and study. Someone came in eventually. It had been like a bit. They were still playing. I'm like, calmed down a bit. And she's like, hey, we're going to play another round. Like, are you ready? Are you okay? Are you good? And I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Sometimes past I'm good. There's one person who hides in the beginning, by the way. And the whole point is you're trying to find that one person who hides. That's what I mean by reverse. So it's not like everyone's hiding in different spots. One person hides, and then each individual person tries to find where they hid, and you just keep packing in with them like sardines until there's one person left looking for all of them. I don't think I explained that well the first time. So we're like, okay, let's play sardines, but let's play it in like twos because we're like creeped out still. So there's like two of us walking through the hallways and shit, and we get back to like the library, and we're like, that's kind of the area we started, so we're like, let's go check. The library is not big. It is a room. So there's an entrance on one side, an entrance on the other. There's a table, and then there's like bookshelves, and that's it. But it's like pretty small. We're checking out both sides of it. We're looking at the bookshelves, looking at whatever. Someone scratches me really hard. Like, I'm walking by a doorway or an entrance. I forget where it was, but I was walking by something with like an open space where like a hand can come out and whatever. So for me, I'm pissed off because I'm like, they already know I'm like scared. I'm not into it. And I was like, dude, like, what? And so I turn the library light on, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, that hurt. I'm looking towards like the doorway, and there's no one there. I don't think it's like a scary thing. I think they're trying to like mess with me because they saw me be scared earlier. And so I'm like, it's not funny, that really hurt. And I like look at my wrist, and my wrist is like a cat scratches you, a dog scratches you. Those lines, they kind of like start popping up like a welt almost. It was like that. So I'm like, look down, my wrist is red, and my partner like peeps her head back in. She's like, what? And she's on the other side, like the other doorway. It was like a U shape that you go in and out, right? And I was like, so then I'm looking behind me because I thought she was like outside the door, like putting her hand in or something. So now I'm freaked out, and I was like, not again. This just happened. Like, what the hell? And so I like look into the hallway. There's no one there. It's just me and her. We started freaking out because like I physically was like hurt this time. Like, I had physical marks on my arm. There was one that was like scratched to the point where I had a scar. It was on this side because I got this tattoo. Oh, this was one of my first tattoos, and I got it over it because I just hated looking at it. It was like very thin, very faint, and it shouldn't even have been. I don't know why it stayed, because it wasn't like if there were like gashes or anything. It was literally like the same as if like a dog scratched. And you know, like when sometimes they scratch, like two of them will be fine and one will be like that scratchy patched up type of skin and then like a little bit of blood. That's how it looked. Hated it, so I got it covered. At that point, I'm panicking. We're all screaming. The door mom comes up. She looks at my wrist. It's like 3 lines again, right? At this time, I still was younger, didn't know. And that was also the time where I was like, this is different than any other time I've seen something or had like, you know, paranormal experiences in the past, because none of those things hurt me ever. This like hurt me. Painful, hurt, scratched. I was like uncomfortable. I started crying. I was really like shaken up about it. Anyway, stuff like that would happen a lot. To go back to the things like breaking around me would happen a lot. Like, I would walk by things and things would break. There was one time we had like a phone booth to call our parents, and it was basically just like a room, like a little tiny like alcove with a telephone, and then there was like a door that opened and closed, kind of like a normal telephone booth, but there was a huge glass panel on the door so you could like see into it. I was always trying to make people laugh. And I think there was someone in the phone booth on the phone. I know that. And me and my friend were like, just like, you know, one of the other girls at the dorm were like doing something outside, trying to like make faces or whatever. And at one of them, we were like pretending something stupid. Like, we were pretending to make out or something. You know, like when you put your hands behind you and you do that, and it's just like, but it's just you and you're doing it. It was like that, but it was me and my friend, and my friend like turned with her back to the window, and then I put my hands around her and I was like, oh, you know, like pretending to kiss. We weren't touching the glass at all, but we were right in front of it, and the panel of glass that was the whole thing like exploded. It like shattered in a way that like, because at first I was like, oh my god, like we broke but it, like when you break glass, it doesn't break like that, right? It like breaks and falls. This like blast, it was like an explosion blast type glass where it's just like, you know. And so we're like, ugh. And then we get in trouble, because they're like, you broke the, I was like, I didn't, but okay. You know, I was just getting in trouble a lot for things where I was like, all right, whatever. Which is actually why I got expelled, because basically one of the girls like wrote a funny letter to someone's, like, it was like a joke letter, like a girl got up, went to the bathroom. I'm only telling you the story because I know from my own experience of living my life, when I say that I was expelled from a Catholic school, there's not one single time where someone doesn't ask me why, how, what happened. So I'm just gonna let you know, it's not a good story, it's stupid. And we'll do the Cliff Notes version of my friend Fumika was writing a letter to her brother. So she put like, Dear John, or whatever his name was. And then she got up to pee. This other girl, Catherine, in the same dorm, she like sat down and she was like, I miss you so much. I love you. Like, I've dream about you every night. Like, not writing as Fumika, writing as like a girl. We're just so like boy starved, right? We're not allowed to talk to anybody or look at anybody. We get in trouble for all this stuff. So it was just like a joke. She said, I want to lick whipped cream off your body. That was the worst thing she said. And she also said, I want to walk down your yellow brick road, because we were in Kansas. And none of us were from Kansas, right? We were all from like other places. So to us, like, Kansas meant Wizard of Oz. Those were the two worst things. Well, the walk down yellow brick road doesn't even make sense, but we got in trouble for that. But the worst thing was, I want to lick whipped cream off your body. That was it. That's all it said. Anyways, this is like a 2-second letter. It's stupid. It's just like, Dear John, my name's whatever, and you know, like, I only have I think about you every night. I've seen pictures of you and Fumika. You're so handsome. I want to lick, you know, whatever. Like, messing up her letter. It's a joke. Fumika comes back from the bathroom, sees it. She's like, ugh, you know, crumples it up, throws it away. Writes her normal letter, and we move on with it. We're just sitting in her room anyways, just like talking or whatever. Anyways, we also get dorm inspections every day. So you go through all our stuff. Every single day, they like open all your drawers. They go through all your things. They make sure like you're not, you know, whatever. At this time, I was getting contraband from the outside. I had one of my friends who had a more normal family, who went to the school because of like the legacy of it that her family did, but her parents were kind of like on the fence. So she was allowed to do certain things that others couldn't. And one of those things was she could read Harry Potter. And so she would sneak me in school. She would bring him in her backpack. We would switch bags. I would do it under the table. And then I would take the Harry Potter book back to my dorm. And I cut out a section underneath my chair. We had like one chair. And it was an older chair, so it had like the wooden boards underneath it. It was like one of the like cloth type chairs, but like bigger, so you could sit, because they were like stuffed armchairs for the rooms. So I cut a book sized slot, like a little slit at the back of it, so that you couldn't see if you were looking under it. And then I peeled that fabric back and peeled back the padding, and I put the book up under that and it would rest on the boards of the chair. And that was my hiding spot. That's how I read all the Harry Potter series. At like midnight in my dorm room, in the like one place in the world where it would have been like so forbidden to have. Anyways, the rest of it is like they search your rooms intensely. That's why it was so intense, because like they go through all your shit, they look through everything, every single day. And you're not allowed to ever close your dorm room unless it was night, and that was like after dinner, after showers, and it's strictly bedtime. And you're allowed to shut your door for bed if you want to. You don't have to, but that's the only time you're allowed to shut your door. And it was from like, I don't know, like 9 to 6 or whenever like the sleeping hours were. Very, very strict, right? The point of this is that they go through like your trash too. So she went through the trash, found the crumpled up letter that we thought was a joke, brought it to the dorm. Like the two dorm mothers that we had, there was one who was like older and more in charge, and then there was like, it was like a dorm mother and a dorm maiden kind of thing, where like she was a little bit younger and just like more of the, it was like the headmistress and like her lackey type thing. So the like lackey would do the searches and then bring her findings to the head mother, right? And so they find this letter, they call me and Fumika in, and they're like, hey, what is this letter? First off, it says like, dear whatever, because it like, but that's the only part that's in Fumika's handwriting. Very distinctly like different handwriting, right? Fumika was like, I wrote the top of it. She's like, I did not write this letter. They were like, well, we can see that it's 2 people, so we can see that like you started it, and then obviously Rachel finished it. And we were just like obviously. And she was like, well, you're both from California, and we know what that is with like your MTV and the sex and drugs out there, just like all the most stereotypical California shit. And we're just like, for me, I was like, I didn't even have it. I was like, my TV was on like a little cart that we had to like roll in and out of a closet. We weren't allowed to, like, we didn't have TV like that. Anyways, we're not saying anything because we think we're gonna get detention. And then she's like, you're expelled. And we're like, okay, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy, you know? But whatever. I was like, all right, whatever. Hate this place. I go out into the hallway. I become so mad that there was like religious paintings all over. I started punching the pictures of like Jesus that were everywhere. And then I kicked a hole in the wall. Anger issues at this point, right? Pretty bad. I did no favors for when things would break around me. That's what I'm saying of like, I think whatever entity or whatever was in this place, like took advantage of the fact that I had anger issues and I had like things happen where I like broke things, like I broke that light, or I, you know, like I was a little bit more destructive than normal. So when things actually like the panel broke or whatever, I would get in trouble every time because they just assume that it was just Rachel breaking shit, which like I get. I was like, I kicked a hole in the wall. I did do that at the end. That was me. I mean, kind of at this point, hard to say what was me and what wasn't something else. But anyways, so yeah, then the girl who actually did it, Catherine, like comes in. She hears we're getting expelled, and she was like, that's crazy, I did it. Anyway, she goes to them and she was like, hey, I have a guilty conscience, I can't let you do this. It was not them, it was me. I wrote this letter. So then the dorm mother is like, well, then you're all three getting expelled. So stupid. They were like, basically Catherine was getting expelled for writing the dirty letter, and then Fumika and I were getting expelled because when we were asked about it, we did not righteously stand up and tell her who did it. And we were like, we didn't say anything. You said that we did this and we just stood here. And she was like, yeah, but you didn't say that you didn't do it. And Fumika was like, I did say that. And they were like, well, you didn't say who did it. And we're like, yeah, we didn't say anything. It just was like a circle. And then she was like, well, that's why you're all getting expelled. And we're like, all right, so we're getting expelled for not saying anything, like whatever. Anyways, my mom finds us out. Like obviously she has to come get me because she's like, my daughter's being expelled. And this whole time I'm just kind of like starting to get more, I'm like losing it. I'm just like fully not present. I guess this is relevant too because it does play into the next part. I'm just like gone at this point. I'm so beyond pissed. I don't care about anything. I'm just like, you know, screw this place, screw these people, I'm over it. And I just start like blacking out. I don't have any memories of like, after I like kicked the wall, I'm just so mad and rage filled, and I guess I went and packed my stuff. I don't know what I did. I don't have any memories. Basically, after getting expelled, packing my shit, when I don't remember my mom picking me up, I don't remember what we did. We drove to like the next, like a closer town that had a good school and stuff, was Manhattan, Kansas, which is where I ended up going to high school for like the couple months I had left of my freshman year, and then all of my, you know, up until I graduated. So like until we're like in the next house and like moving, I don't know, I just don't remember it. I don't remember it at all. And my mom said that I was like, when she got me in the car, I was just like screaming, and then I would just like pass. I would just like go to bed. And so I think I was like possessed or something. I don't know what happened, but like that whole place was just so evil, so scary. Sorry, I know this is so long, but like that was kind of like, the rest of them were just like little things here and there, but that was like the main thing is like, for these period of months, I was just getting deeply depressed and angry the whole time I was there up until the end when this happened. So I personally, after that, made it a point to like, when I like started kind of growing up and realizing I'm a little bit different than other people, and I saw things and heard things that were a little bit different, I started really focusing on like the protection side of it for me, because that really scared me. And like those anger issues lasted for a while too. Like I hadn't had a big problem, but I had really bad issues until I probably got to my sophomore year. So like after getting expelled, the couple of months that I went to high school as a freshman, and then throughout summer until like my next term, like school started for the next year, I just was like so angry and like problematic, just like yelling, like throwing stuff in the house, like breaking stuff in the house, just like very much that kind of like followed me for a while. So yeah, I do think a lot of what happened there was kind of like this like shift in who I was completely. There's like other stuff too. I have tons and tons of stories. These are literally, I'm only on my third. That is my third bullet, guys. I did not think this would, I thought I would be able to just get through this list. Why did I think that? Okay, we're gonna pause for a second. I'm gonna take her out, and then I'm going to call my mom and my sisters, and we'll get their versions of it. All right, guys. Hey, we're back. It's me, your girl, Rachel. I'm looking at me here. I'm looking at me here. We're back in the van. Sorry. I need to eat some food. I haven't eaten food. We're gonna get this over with because I'm hungry. Hopefully she answers. And what I didn't expect, something I didn't intend, something I never expected, was my mom to be unavailable. Let me try my sisters. This is so weird. I never call them like this. They're probably gonna be like, what's up? Are you dying? Is everyone okay? Did you guys pick up? Because I never call like this, and so you're probably like, what's going on?
I got a call from Becca. I didn't know it was an emergency.
It's not an emergency. I just thought about it after, and I was like, I never do this. I probably should have texted first. I just wanted to do something for Halloween, but I was talking about spooky stories in my life. The creepy house that like I lived in when you guys first met me. Do you have any memories of it being creepy or haunted or anything?
All the cabinets being open in the kitchen.
Really? I didn't even remember that. Okay.
You don't remember it? We made like a circle around the fireplace.
Yeah, I remember that part. And like hearing weird shit, like the wind chimes and stuff. But the kitchen, dang.
Is that why I hate when cabinet doors are open in the kitchen? It just feels very haunted.
Maybe.
Like a haunted thing.
Yeah, me too, but I didn't know where it came from. I don't have like a... I don't know. Becca, do you remember anything?
No, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Just us sitting in that little fire ring?
I remember trying real hard to find spooky shit, like when we stalked that poor woman who was the neighbor.
Like in her yard, yeah.
Proof she was okay.
Yeah, I did talk about that and how it wasn't cool of us to do. Okay, that was it. I just want to make sure. I'm doing my own research. No, just that like, you know, I just wanted to see if I was like, you know, like when you think of stuff that's so long ago and you're like, am I making this up, or did like, that's how I feel about it. And I was like, let me call and ask. I'm gonna call my mom too and be like, hey, what weird shit happened in this house, because that's how I feel about it. Where it's like so long ago, I'm like, I'm pretty like, I remember hearing like wind chimes and stuff that would play songs, like tunes that I knew, and like seeing stuff out of the corner of my eye for like when it was all of us together, but not really anything more than that. The cabinet stuff, man, that's scary. I'm glad I don't remember that. Sorry for the abrupt call.
Love you.
Love you. Bye. It's nighttime now. We're gonna try to call my mom again.
It's gonna fall off of there.
It's gonna fall off of there.
Right off the...
It's gonna roll right off of there.
That's
Can't
fine.
you move it half an inch?
I told my memories of everything, and then I was like, I thought it would be fun to go back at the end and ask you just to make sure that like I wasn't being biased when I first said them, see the difference of it, see if you remember other things, stuff like that.
Brandy and Iron, the man had passed in that house.
Yeah.
You know, so that was something that we had never had a situation that you moved into a house where you really didn't know exactly what happened. But, you know, it's not necessarily a crazy thought to think that the prior person and whatever happened, that there can be some kind of an overflow or remnants or some kind of something.
Yeah. And for that, now that you're talking about that, I do have that as a question. What is the story? Because I know my version of like what I thought it was, but I want to hear what it actually is to see if I've changed it over the years.
Well, you know, for me, as far as buying a home or selling a home, you have to be made aware in California that a person deceased there.
Yeah.
But on our end, all we knew that it was an older man, that it wasn't unusual. It was just an expiration of, you know, his heart wore out, and he passed in the house there.
And did he have dogs?
The dog was from next door. He didn't have dogs. The dog was from next door.
Okay. That's the part
that
I have mixed up. Because to me, I thought it was like the guy like was like a smoker. And
he did smoke.
Okay.
He smoked.
maybe
we
I'm
smelled
mixing.
smoke and
Yeah,
pipe.
yeah, that's the part. Because I was like, I have these memories of smelling smoke and like hearing dogs barking and stuff. And so I think in my head as I grew, it was all of that's the same except when he died, he like put a cigarette out or something, and like that, like the house didn't catch on fire or whatever, but like he had like smoke inhalation or something. I thought that's how he died from like, and like that the dog died with him or something, because I would always associate the smoke and the dog bark with him. So it's like a combined kind of memory, I think, but
Yeah.
the pieces of it are still the same.
Well, he smoked a pipe.
A
too,
pipe,
you know,
okay.
And that was a pipe smell too, and that reminded me of my pop.
Yeah.
I smelled that a couple of times, and because my pop smoked a pipe after he had gone through his
Yeah.
cigar mode, but there wasn't anything, you know, that felt evil or
Yeah,
bad
no,
or
it
any
was
of that kind
it
of
was
stuff.
just that. That's what the smell, and like I would hear like a dog, but like the smell of it was very like someone's smoking a pipe in this room right now. It's not like a lingering, like faint.
It was
Okay.
a fresh scent.
Okay.
It was a fresh scent, and we both, you know, it was like, well, wow, that's kind of strange to walk into the house and have that fresh scent of the pipe. But I don't think we felt threatened or any of that. And then I had the house blessed and all that kind of stuff. But,
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I remember all of
but
that.
I was going to ask you in Savannah, you thought you saw someone in your room one time.
Yeah, that creepy little girl. I did tell that story. That freaky little girl while we were playing Spider-Man. She had like huge black deep hole eyes. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Scared
no,
me.
I didn't see that,
Yeah.
but you and Savannah said that. But you also said that you saw your guardian angel.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because it's like I remember like a cherub type face in like the corner of a room. I remember that one a lot, but I think that was in your room, and I don't know. And some of these,
Well, that could have been mine.
yeah,
No.
yeah. Some of these, it's like so hard because I'm like I feel like I saw stuff all the time there, and I had like nightmares there, like my worst nightmares, and like I would have sleep paralysis and stuff. So I think a lot of it's hard for me to. That's why I wanted to hear.
Well, I didn't know that you. Well, sleep paralysis happens at different times.
Yeah.
You know, for different people and all that, and that's a terrible thing. But I didn't know you had a hard time sleeping.
Yeah,
you're
because
pretty
remember
good sleeper.
I would see the things in the hallway for a long when we first moved there. I would
Well,
see.
yeah. You had a transition period where it was kind of a you were upset about or fearful of or whatever, and I didn't know whether that was a transition just from having your own room,
Yeah.
you know, and having it in a darker. Because before in the littler house, you know, we just shared a big room, and
Yeah.
there wasn't any separation or the door closed or any of the dark or any of that. So I didn't know what exactly was transpiring.
I was scared at night, only for those, like, it was just those, like, figures that I saw over and over, like, every night for a long time. But I remember, like, stopped when I ran through them to go to, like, your room to, like, and I do remember I had never talked about it, and you were just like, why didn't you ever tell me this? You know, like, you shouldn't, like, it's, like, that kind of thing. It wasn't, and then I didn't have issues with those anymore. For the old house, too, the only thing there was like the little weird invisible friend I had, right? Or imaginary friend or whatever.
Well, you had not just your friend, you had your unicorn, Zephyr.
Pegasus, and
Yeah.
I already told them about that. So from whenever we moved there till I was 5, that time, like, were you ever creeped out by like me having an imaginary friend named Charlie, or was it like a normal? Because I can't remember. That's why I'm asking, because to me, looking back, I'm like, that's kind of weird. But was it ever actually weird?
You never gave me any crap about Charlie. You and Charlie were just buds, and you know you had your friend and you listened to and you talked to, but he didn't bother me.
Okay.
He didn't seem nefarious in any way. But the scary ones I'll have to think about. But Charlie, he didn't really bug me. But the house, I know that the smell of that smoke was pipe smoke.
Yeah.
And we just walked in and it's like, oh,
The
there were a
branded
couple
iron
of
one,
other
yeah.
things. There were things that, you know, they'd be knocking on the door or something and nobody there.
Yeah.
Just some of those kind of things. But, and then
Yeah,
there was the time,
and-
you know, I was cooking the dead bodies that I'd killed and we were eating, but, oh no, that wasn't a real one.
Stupid joke. No, the knocks and stuff too, that was like a big one. And I remember the wind chimes too. For me, like, they would play like songs, and it was like a very like
The one with the beer on the top.
I like it with the beer on the top.
I mean, like,
But I'm trying to think, I'm going through, Yeah, I know that you and Savannah, when she was there, you know, you both saw whatever you saw, and I came in and I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I do remember that because it was like because by that time we were really scared because we turned the lights on and we were like, what was that? We both saw the same thing. And then right before you came in, a pillow, and I couldn't remember if it was like right before you came in or as you were coming in, but a pillow like that was on the bed, like went to fall, which is whatever, but then it like curved and went under, it like landed underneath the like loft bed thing.
Unusual trajectory.
Yeah, and so then we were like panicking, and I just couldn't remember. I was like, I know that like one of the parents came in, don't remember who, and I don't remember if they saw it, but like we were like fully panicking from.
Well, I came in and I didn't see it, and you were both upset. So,
yeah,
you know.
I think too for the like as like the bedtime story when you used to tell me just as like a, you know, like a normal bedtime story of like, oh, go to bed because like your dolls can dance or have their time or whatever, and then I would go to sleep. But then it was the music ones, you know, where those would turn on, the like rotating ones that I had, and I had a bunch of them, but they would like not all of them at the same time, but like multiple of them would start, or we would be in a different room and it would start, or it'd be night. And then I just remember being like, oh, it's like they're dancing or whatever, because I just assumed that was a real story because I would like see them like move or turn on or do whatever, and that's like not. And then I grew up and I was like, oh, it's not like a normal.
I saw that as a kid, you know.
Oh, you did too?
Myself, yeah, and I saw them, and I knew that I had certain ones in certain areas that they would move. I had this one particular one. I felt sorry for her because she was a Japanese traditional doll, and she was in a little glass case. And I would just felt bad for her because I knew she would like to, you know, be like other of the stuffed animal variety or something where she could be loved and moved and all of that stuff. So she would be here, and then the next day she'd be on the right side. But I don't know. I had siblings too. But as far as the eerie spooky, I would say that, you know, well, there was a vibe sometimes, I think is what you're referring to, like when you'd be going to bed, not necessarily seen, or in your case maybe seen, but a feel of a cold sometimes, and then that smoke.
Yeah.
So
the sleepwalking stuff too, I was gonna ask about. I think the one of where you came into the room or whatever because you heard me talking or something, or checking on me, whatever it was. I like, and the one where I like sat up and like looked at you and started that like gibberish talk or whatever it was. And then also that I would like go to the edge of the couch and just like stare at you sometimes, or just like things like that. But again, I was gonna ask you because obviously I only have my memories of what you told me because I don't remember it.
I don't remember specifically any sitting up with gibberish talk, but
yeah, there was one time where you told me that like you came in and I kind of like sat up and looked at you and just was like blah, 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 you know, like said some, I don't know, like not, they weren't like words,
your own language kind of thing.
Yeah, and I only remember that one because you were just like, it was weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an unusual thing. I'm trying to think of what and when that would have been, and what house or anything.
It was
Brandon. I must have gotten over it.
Yeah, it was Brandon Aaron still. Because the only ones I remembered were that one, and then the when I would just go to the edge of the couch and like look at you, and Brandon Aaron still the same. Those ones. But like for my whole life, I didn't really have an issue. Like that's the only place I can remember like sleepwalking to, is in that house. Not actively remember, but like have memories of being told I was like sleepwalking.
Well, it happened a couple of times there. I don't think that it was something that I necessarily worried about or thought it was. I mean, it was new to me. I never did it, but talking in your sleep or sleepwalking, those things happen to people, so I don't know. Yeah. But it did happen a couple of times. I found it more amusing than you know anything else. Yeah. But as far as the eerie part, it would be hearing some kind of noises and having some cold spots, and that would be on that same walk to your room there, and the smell of the pipe. Yeah. Of a man that used to smoke a pipe that passed in the house, but that was before our time. Yeah. And I remember like when Pop would visit, like the like crucifix, like he was scared of it at night, where he would walk around with it and like a rosary in one hand and crucifix to like try to go to the bathroom or whatever because he didn't want to go. In that like that hallway area was like where my room was, and that was the weird place. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, well, you know what happened with him and what really ticked me off he went to one of the priests there, and he was telling me he was having this stomach trouble, and it was just upsetting and all of that. And the priest told him, well, maybe, Joey, maybe you might be possessed. And I said, what? Are you insane? How could you say that? And he said, well, sometimes, you know, there are actual possessions. Yes, I know that.
Yeah.
I don't think my pop is. But anyway, he said, well, sometimes those things start with stomach upset. I said, yeah, and also they start when you don't eat.
Yeah.
You know, and you can have stomach acid and all that. I said, I cannot believe the damage that you have done by telling my pop that he could possibly be possessed. And Pop said, well, you know, it's a priest. I said, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, that was not true, and that was bad to tell you that, and that was absolutely crazy. You're a man who just lost his wife. You're grieving. Your stomach's upset. You don't eat. It's natural in that process, and the grieving process, that your stomach's going to be upset and you're going to be upset and all of that. Those are just biological realities. They have nothing to do with some kind of demonic possession.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but look what it did to him.
Yeah.
You know, so we got him out of it, but it took a while.
No, I do remember. I think that kind of added to it for me, because I was like, everyone knows, like, this house is like so scary.
Yeah, you were on the end of just, this is par for the course.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no. But there was weird, and then I did have the house blessed, and then it seemed I never smelt the smoke again.
Yeah, because, like, the majority of it, a lot of it was, like, just at night, and it was just those, like, weird things that I would see in the hallway over and over and over again. That is the most, like, intense memory that I have of it, because it just was so repetitive. It happened a lot until I, like, got up and ran through them, and just, like, then it did never happen after that. The sleep paralysis part is also, like, something that it was just this, I would just see this old lady all the time, like, in, like,
don't talk about your mother like that.
Do you remember the Catholic camp that I went to? That we had our, like, cabin exercise and stuff. Do you remember, like, details of that?
Well, you know, you told me that you heard knocks and different things there. I wasn't with you there. You're talking about when you went
I just mean after.
Wishes.
Yeah, like when you picked me up or whatever, what you remember of it.
You said that there was knocking, that you all couldn't understand where or why or how.
Yeah, where it was coming from or anything. There was, like, no one at the door or anything. We would just hear weird noises. And then we found, like, the first couple of days there was, like, a dead mouse.
Those were gifts from the kitties. We get those.
No. But, like, the first time it was just a dead mouse. The second time its like, head was, like, ripped off. And then the third time it was, like, its, like, guts were around it, like, in a circle. And so that's when the priest came up, and they ended up doing, like, by the time we were leaving, they exorcised the cabin, but they were, like, blessing the cabin. And they said that there was, like, teens in the area who were, like, known to be, like, basically we just thought it was, like, people trying to, like, prank the Catholic kids. Yeah, like doing, like, satanic ritual type stuff, you know? They ended up exorcising the cabin, and they were like, we're not going to put people in here for this or whatever. But, like, I think up until then, they just thought it was, like, local teenagers pranking us.
Glad you girls all made it through, but we're gonna fix it now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We were like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I was gonna ask too for Catholic school, for, like, St. Mary's. I mean, I had creepy stuff happen there and stuff too, but, like, when you actually came to, like, physically pick me up after I was, you know, expelled for stupid reasons,
for wrong reasons.
Yeah. My I just don't remember it, and I remember, like I kind of, like, blacked out, I guess, but I was just so angry there. And so
it was justified that you were angry, because it was wrong that what happened to you, and it was a lousy priest and a lousy situation, and totally anti-Catholic to condemn a person. You know, that's what they did to Christ, and we don't like that. I remember you, it's not funny, I remember you calling and saying, did you know that Lucifer made pants? And I said, what? Did you know that he invented pants? He said, what are you talking about? He said, well, that's what I learned. I said, no, I don't think that that's so. And I was very surprised at that. And he said, yeah, that's what I learned today, that Lucifer made pants. I said, no. I don't even know how to explain St. Mary's.
I know.
But no.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to have you talk about it too. Because I'm like, me trying to explain it. First off, it sounds like I was a bad kid sent to boarding school. I was like, that literally is not it. It was just somewhere that my
Yes, it was.
my
No.
I was like, it's somewhere that my grandpa wanted. It's funny because like trying to explain, people just like don't believe me. And my first Air Force job, I got disqualified from PRP for that. It was like nuclear sites that we, like when I was a cop, they go over your background and stuff, and you have to put anything on your record. So obviously I had to put like I was expelled, and that's why I transferred school for my like diplomas and stuff. And then it was the combination of like, what were you expelled for? Such a stupid story. No one believes it. They're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then also, why were you sent to boarding school? I'm like, for my grandpa. Like, on both ends, people just absolutely did not believe me. And I'm like, you can call my mom. But like, the commander that I was interviewing with for like that position, he was like, you will not be doing, like just thought I was a liar about this time. I was like, oh gosh, it's so hard to explain. Like,
Yeah. Well, and the whole circumstance, getting the call and knowing that you didn't do it, and having all of that scene, and then that father, what was his name?
Yeah. It's also really funny to think of someone calling you as a parent and fully, like, openly being like, hey, your daughter's being expelled. She didn't do it. Someone else did it. But she didn't tell us that the person, she didn't tell on the person who did it.
And Catholic teachings, that's not what you do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I just think of it, if I was a parent, I would be like, what? So, what?
All I know is that I was on the flight in the morning, and then father, what was his name? He didn't like me at all because I spoke up and out and loudly. More so for this was like focusing on just like
it was just a very like evil feeling school. Like that is probably the one place where I've genuinely felt scared, and there was like weird stuff that we would see, and they were all very open about it too, which was weird. Like our dorm moms would like talk about like what they heard or what they saw in the school, and like they were like everyone just knew that like these things happen. And to me, I was always like, what? Like, why do we go in there? Like, why do we have school in here? Like, and they would just tell us these stories for it, and I'd be like, okay, this sucks. Like, guys. Yeah, it was just a very strange, but like everyone was like that. I literally was like, felt very alone because everyone in this town was they like wear the same thing. They all look exactly the same. They all go to the same church. They all go to the same thing. All the restaurants are owned by the people, so even if you go like off campus or whatever, you're just like in church still. You're always around. Like, it was just such a weird town in general.
They were crazy. I remember the first time that we went to mass there too, and I mean, it was beautiful. The chapel and all of that was beautiful.
Yeah, but you're like separated by gender on for us.
And then after mass, it was just like, I don't know. It was just like such a cool meaning cold.
Yeah. That was it.
Like,
yeah.
It was almost like a studio set or something. Like if you were gonna film a cool weird thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that picking you up, your poor heart and soul were seared to the bone.
Yeah, and I just don't remember it. And I think like that's more of where I think there was still, I just had like a lingering like kind of darkness for like, and I was very angry, and I just remember having anger issues for a bit after that too, and just like that kind of faded after time. But that I had a lot of like problems from that place that I didn't have before. I wasn't angry, I wasn't whatever, and I had so many like
I know.
And when I was there, I became like this kind of like, that's why I feel like it, because I gave up and I just was over it. I think that I kind of let whatever like darkness or whatever kind of like not overtake me, but you know what I mean? I was not myself for a while because of it. And I was like angry to the point of like physical anger. Like I would like throw things or break things and stuff, like stuff I've never done, like, and haven't since. I would personally consider that a time that, I mean, like the stuff I saw and all the shit that happened there was weird and creepy and like definitely part of it. But I just mean like the kind of like phase out of it. It definitely was a combination of things, but I do think that was like an exterior influence a little bit too on me for a bit that I kind of like had to get out of, because that was like very,
it was evil.
Like I didn't feel like me, and I think I had like some lingering like,
it was dark. Some dark Klingons.
Nothing. No other
filming this part or not. I didn't know whether you were going to start filming.
It's fine. I just like screen record generally, and then I'll just like clip out the parts that are relevant for my no No, the parts that I don't want to hear. The parts that go against what I was saying. No, it's not that. I just mean that like are specific to what I was talking about. Well, that's it for my questions.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry I went all the way around about, but
It's
just
okay.
been nice to talk
I'll
to
edit
you.
it down. I'll edit it down. It's fine.
Yeah, or edit it out.
I'll scrap it. I'll scrap the
Yeah,
whole bit. It's
yeah.
fine.
I was going to talk to my mom, but she went off the rails, so forget it.
That's okay. I do the same thing. That's why I had to write a list so I wouldn't, so I'd stay on top of it.
Yeah.
If not, I'll just forget and go somewhere
I
else.
guess when we started, it was so generalized, as you think, and all of that. I think I was thinking it was still generalized. We were kind of talking before you were going to start asking, and I didn't really realize, like, okay, take one.
I'm a good
Here are my
interviewer.
questions.
I'm a good interviewer. I spent over a decade interviewing people and just trying to make them feel natural. Did you feel like it was a natural interview? You didn't even feel
No.
interviewed, huh? Oh,
No, I missed the whole damn thing.
good. That's the point. That's good. Hello, dog. Are you awake? Did you just wake up? Who is that?
Hi, Binks.
Who is that?
When are you coming to visit?
Oh. Do you hear?
When are you coming to visit?
Sometime in December.
And I'll see you
I just hang up.
in December.